My name is Xavier Gray. I'm head of the Siren Corporation, founder of the Thea Project. Thea is the only planet we've discovered thus far that can sustain human life.
Thea is a newly discovered planet that is 5 light years away from Earth. This planet is ideal for human habitation because it contains far more oxygen than Earth. They dispatched a crew to make their first settlement there. Going to Thea was a huge mistake, though. Let's talk about this in today's story, which starts with a man named Shun awakening from cryosleep aboard his spacecraft. He is shocked to learn that the ship is still traveling through space and has not yet arrived at Thea. As bioengineered plants intended for the crew's food begin to grow in the ship, Shun notices. Shun, bewildered and anxious, looks about the ship trying to figure out why he woke up in the middle of the voyage. He meets Lana, a fellow crew member who also woke up early from cryosleep during his search. They discover 7 additional crew members who have also woken up too early together. Understanding why they woke up before getting to Thea surprises and perplexes them all. They divide up into various groups and set out to investigate the ship in an attempt to unravel the mystery surrounding their early awakening. A flashback then reveals Shun's early years on Earth. He once killed multiple members of a rival gang while working in Japan's underworld. Takeshi, Shun's elder brother, was a police officer. Takeshi admitted to Shun that it was a grave error to kill the members of the rival gang. This meant that the police department as a whole would be pursuing him in addition to the gang. Takeshi proposed that Shun enlist in a space mission in order to save his life. The destination of this mission was Thea, a planet 5 light years from Earth. After discovering Thea, scientists discovered that its environment, which included plenty of natural resources, clean water, and air, was ideal for human habitation. Regarded as a means of escaping the devastated Earth, it represented a fresh hope for humanity. Takeshi set up Shun's placement on the second ship that was carrying humans to Thea for the first time. An aide notified Shun that his name was now on the crew list because of his brother's recommendation. Shun would be able to leave Earth after his misdeeds and begin a new life on Thea in this way. Takeshi tells his brother Shun, while they are eating, that he must join the mission to Thea because even Takeshi is unable to elude the police department for very long. Reluctantly, Shun consents but demands that Takeshi accompany him. In an effort to keep his siblings safe, Takeshi concurs. But the night before they are set to depart, Takeshi is killed by the rival gang's leader as payback. Shun, terrified for his own life and devastated, runs away to join the mission to Thea. Shun suffers from constant guilt because he knows that his own actions caused his brother's death. Shun returns to the present and heads to the ship's control room with the other members of the crew. When they discover it's empty, they learn how big the ship is and how many ring-shaped compartments it has. They are startled to see that there is significant damage to a portion of the ship's back, suggesting a collision. The crew members, who are now quite worried, begin looking into the matter to learn more about what's going on. They were still trying to figure out what had happened when they heard a crew member's voice over the radio. The injured crew member, who was lying in the ship's lower section, was cries for assistance. It occurred to the crew that this individual might be able to tell them what transpired during their cryosleep. Abigail, Henry, Lana, and Shun made the decision to descend in order to save the hurt member. Lee, an engineer, and the other members of the crew started looking for solutions on the ship's computers in the meantime. They found that nearly every other member of the crew had already made their way out of the ship via the escape pods. Everyone was even more terrified after learning that something horrible had occurred on board. It's unlikely that the surviving crew members could rouse them from cryosleep in time for their escape. With a mission to rescue the wounded crew member, Shun, Lana, Henry, and Abigail headed to the ship's lower deck in an attempt to learn the truth about what had gone wrong. Once below deck, the 4 members found Evelyn in apparent critical condition with a gun in her hand, indicating she had been in a confrontation. In addition, they could hear disturbing sounds coming from a nearby room. Lana hurried into the room to investigate, but Shun advised her to pause for a moment due to the presence of bloodstains, indicating potential danger. Evelyn, in the meantime, came to outside and saw the open door. She called for its closure urgently. Lana decided that they should open the door and help the injured person inside, even though there was a risk involved. After Shun finally gave in, they entered the room. Lana and Shun entered and saw an awful sight. There were several dead crew members lying around in the messy room. They also found an asteroid, which was probably the cause of the damage to the back of the ship. Still, there were a lot of unanswered questions regarding the crew member's decision to leave. Later, after the crew member, who had earlier radioed for assistance with severe injuries, Lana and Shun come upon him. He begs them to depart right away even though they have arrived. His eyes become distressed and his body begins to disintegrate before he can say anything more. Unfortunately, his injuries cause him to pass away. With great fear, Lana and Shun discover another crew member, Max, who has sustained gunshot wounds. While helping Max, Evelyn, who is also hurt, tells Henry and Abigail what happened before they ended up where they are. She explains that their ship sustained major damage from an asteroid collision. But the collision also brought with it a strange kind of extraterrestrial life. This being possesses the capacity to fully control human minds and bodies. Chaos consequently broke out on board the ship. Using escape pods, the crew members who survived were able to flee and secure their safety. Evelyn cautions Henry and Abigail against opening the door since the alien life form is still inside the spacecraft. Shun and Lana extract Max from his shell while Henry and Abigail observe. Henry promptly alerts them to the danger that could arise from Max's potential non-human state and his potential alien control. Max tries to take the gun from Shun as per Henry's advice, but Shun quickly knocks him out. They confine Max to a room as a precaution against him hurting anyone. In the interim, attention turns to Lana's past. Lana held a job as a security officer on Earth prior to starting the mission. Her job was to defend a politician and his daughter Ruby from the many threats that the politician's enemies were making. Lana started to feel something for the politician over time, and they eventually started dating. But one night, tragedy struck when an attack occurred on their home. The politician was shot to death in the confusion. In the midst of defending Ruby from an assailant, Lana unintentionally shot the cabinet that Ruby was hiding in. Tragically, it turned out that Lana accidentally killed Ruby with her own hands. Feeling helpless to help Ruby or the politician, Lana's guilt overcame her. With the intention of leaving her terrible past behind on Earth, Lana made the decision to join the mission. In the present, when Max begins acting aggressively and attacks Shun and Lana, they realize Evelyn was correct. Forcibly acting in self-defense, Shun shoots Max to death. They quickly learn their error, though, as another crew member escaped when they entered the room. It is obvious that the alien life form must have had control over him as well. Before he further damages the ship, they must locate him as soon as possible. As Evelyn recovers, the other members of the crew hope she will regain consciousness and provide them important information. We learn Evelyn's past. She had served on the same ship as Max, another member of the crew. Evelyn fell in love with Max during their time together, and everything appeared to be going smoothly. But their quiet voyage was cut short when an asteroid struck the ship, damaging the back half and breaking through cell number 50. Max went to evaluate the collision's damage with a few other crew members, Evelyn among them. They had no idea that other crew members were in cryosleep there. After a while, mayhem broke out on the ship, which is why Evelyn went looking for Max. That's when she found out the truth. An enigmatic alien creature that had entered their ship as a result of the asteroid collision was now in charge of the crew. Numerous crew members perished horribly in the confusion. Evelyn had no choice but to shoot Max in self-defense after realizing the threat. She shut the door behind her and passed out, trying desperately to contain the threat. To protect their lives, the remaining crew members fled in the escape shuttle in the meantime. The crew is currently waiting tensely for Evelyn to recover. As Vincent tries to infect others, Lee realizes that he is the one who is the threat, the escaped crew member. While this is going on, Vincent attacks Logan, a fellow crew member, in an attempt to spread the alien influence via his blood. Thankfully, the rest of the crew arrives to save Logan, and Vincent runs away terrified. It becomes evident that the alien is using Vincent to find a new host in order to evade discovery. Taking decisive action, Dr. Henry examines Max's head to identify the alien creature. They discover evidence of the alien's presence within Max's skull after further investigation. Henry tells the crew that the alien enters the body through the blood, focuses on the brain, takes over the neurons there, and causes the affected person to lose control of themselves. Acknowledging the gravity of the situation, the crew decides to apprehend Vincent before he can spread the infection to others. They know they can permanently eliminate the alien threat if they kill Vincent. When the crew goes looking for Vincent, they find him dead in a pool. They don't understand why the alien would murder its own host. But when they look inside Vincent's skull and discover no signs of the alien, the answer becomes evident. The alien had clearly moved on to another crew member prior to Vincent's death, which is why the crew began to suspect him. Logan has misgivings about Lee, the person who discovered Vincent's body, as hostilities grow. But instead of acting right away, the crew chooses to wait for the infected member to make their identity apparent through an error. The crew must also deal with the damaged ship in the interim. A vital component of the ship has been compromised by the asteroid impact, endangering their mission to reach the planet Theia. Their top priority is to safely separate the damaged section from the rest of the ship, which will add to their already growing list of difficulties and uncertainties. The crew divides into two groups and proceeds to repair the ship's damage from the collision. Logan is injured while repairing the damaged section and just manages to escape being sucked into space. In addition, Lana nearly loses her life when she unintentionally locks herself in a compartment meant to be discarded into space. The crew believes Lana's chances of surviving are low because of the jammed doors. Shun, who is in love with Lana, promises to save her despite the dangerous circumstances. Shun puts his life in danger to get to Lana, close to the airlock. He miraculously succeeds in saving her, and the two of them become closer when Lana acknowledges how much she is liking him. The crew regains control of the ship and sets course for their intended destination, the planet Theia, as they labor ceaselessly to repair it. Returning to the medical room, the team finds Lee's lifeless body on top of Logan's, indicating that Lee was the one that the alien entity had impacted. The disturbing discovery, though, is that Lee's body no longer contains the extraterrestrial being. It appears that the creature has changed host once more, entering the mind of an unwary crew member. Logan fiercely denies being impacted, but suspicion has been placed on him because Lee's blood was spilled on him. Logan explains, working with Henry, that their research suggests the alien creature harms the area of the brain it enters. As a result, the impacted person experiences a loss of memory for their past. Reassuring the crew that he is not under the creature's influence, Logan says he remembers his past. The medical professional's approval allows the crew to recognize Henry and Logan's collaborative research efforts. They make the decision to find the gadget that holds all of the members' historical information so they can speak with each person one-on-one and find any gaps in their recollections. They have to finish this mission before they get to planet Theia in order to keep the dangerous alien creature from traveling with them. So time is of the essence. One of the crew members finds the same cutter that killed Lee in Kate's room while they are looking for the data device. There are worries that Kate might be the alien creature's new host in light of this discovery. The crew is more concerned about Kate's possible involvement after finding blood traces in the room, which heightens their suspicions. The crew doesn't hesitate to capture Kate and place her in a room. With the unsettling knowledge that one of their own could be the alien creature's host, the crew's concerns grow as they prepare to arrive at Theia. As they struggle to accept the seriousness of their situation, the planet Theia appears, offering humanity a chance at a new beginning. They are briefly ecstatic to see their new home because another spacecraft is approaching from a distance. It turns out that this ship was the first to reach Theia, probably thanks to word from the crew members who escaped earlier. These people would have told the crew about the asteroid collision and the alien creature's subsequent infiltration, alerting them to the impending threat posed by the creature's capacity to take control of human minds. Fear spreads among the crew as the other ship broadcasts Protocol 47, announcing the deployment of sophisticated scanning machines throughout their vessel. Upon identifying any non-human life form, the scanners will release a deadly gas to ensure its destruction. As the crew prepares to scan every ring on their ship, tensions are rising. Their discomfort increases with Kate's imprisonment as a possible alien host. The crew considers ejecting Kate into space in a desperate attempt to evade detection in the scan. Logan, on the other hand, is adamantly against this plan because he loves Kate and cannot bear to see her die. Logan steps in and releases Kate from her restraint in a desperate attempt to escape with her. But before they can do any damage to Kate, Shun and another crew member capture them. Logan declares his conviction in Kate's innocence as hostilities rise, providing evidence from his own intact memories. Shun hesitates, caught between the memory of his previous transgressions that resulted in his brother's death and the possible danger. In the end, the crew gets together and decides to come up with a fresh strategy to find out Kate's actual condition and make sure everyone is safe. Dr. Henry suggests putting Kate into a temporary coma, believing that this will either drive the alien out of her or, because of the drop in body temperature, destroy it. This plan, though risky, presents a possible way forward. For the benefit of the crew as a whole, Kate herself agrees to the procedure despite her initial reservations. Fear hanging over them, the crew gets ready for the dangerous experiment. Unexpectedly, it turns out that Kate was unaffected by the extraterrestrial being. Like the rest of the crew, she has no idea about the cutter or the bloodstains in her room. It turns out that the real criminal set her up on purpose to avoid being found out. Henry, Shun, and Lana come up with a risky plan because half of the ship has already been scanned, and there is a chance that any alien presence will be met with toxic gas. They suggest taking oxygen tanks out of the fourth ring so they can breathe in the event that poisonous gas leaks into the ship. The three quickly take apart the oxygen pipes and get ready for the approaching threat as the ring scan is about to begin. As Abigail, Evelyn, and Kate consider splitting up the ship to make their escape, they encounter a major obstacle. The escape port can only accommodate 2 people due to its 150 kilograms weight limit. This restriction puts further strain on their already dire circumstances. Shun, helping Lana with the oxygen cylinder in the medical room, discovers something shocking in the meantime. He discovers a picture of Max with his younger brother Sam among Evelyn's possessions. Shun comes to the realization that Lana had previously implied a relationship between Max and Lana by referring to her brother as Sam. Shun discovers the startling truth as the puzzle pieces come together. Lana is the one who is impacted by the extraterrestrial. It turns out that Lana made up her past in order to hide who she really was, taking Max's memories and passing them off as her own. This revelation reveals Lana's deceit and the extent of the aliens' infiltration among the crew, taking the plot in an unexpected direction. Shun discovers the reality of his own life, which Lana had taken on in order to hide her identity, as he digs through Max's computer. With the intention of avoiding suspicion, Lana had incorporated Max's past into her own story, demonstrating the depth of her deceit. The day Vincent died, the alien force took advantage of the chance to use Lana as its vessel and infiltrate the world. It then planned Lee's death and set up Kate to cause strife among the crew in an attempt to get to Thea under Lana's mask. When faced with the terrifying truth, Shun struggles to make a choice. Even though he loves Lana, he understands that having her around puts the crew's safety in danger. He decides to capture Lana in an effort to keep them safe. Still, in a heartbreaking instance, Lana, tormented by flashes of her real self, begs Shun to take her own life in the interest of others. When given a painful option, Shun declines to sacrifice Lana. Rather, he puts her in an escape pod while keeping her unconscious. He sends the pod hurtling into space, breaking Lana's bond with the alien being inside her and the ship. Once Lana leaves, the ship exits the scan, protecting them from the deadly gas. After the threat has finally passed, they make a safe landing on Thea, their new home. The members were ecstatic as they got closer to their new house, but they were blind to the sinister reality that lay beneath their joy. Shun kept a secret from everyone, even though he appeared to be happy. He had unintentionally sent Lana, who had been influenced by aliens, out of the escape pod. As Shun helped her, Lana, who appeared to be free of the alien's influence, thanked him. But the alien, who had realized the power of human emotions, had tricked her into believing she was free. The alien coerced Lana into acting as though she was free because it knew that killing Shun would have caused poison gas to explode. The alien secured its own arrival on Thea by threatening Shun with a gun and persuading him to fire the escape pod. From there, it intends to multiply and take over the gullible humans. That's a wrap. What did you all think of the series? Shun's unintentional mistake has brought them to the alien-infested planet, setting the stage for a dire future for humanity. Please share your opinions below and click the subscribe button.